The art of the Upper Paleolithic is amongst the oldest art known. Older possible examples include the incised ochre from Blombos Cave. Upper Paleolithic art is found in Aurignacian Europe and the Levant some 40,000 years ago, and on the island of Sulawesi in Indonesia at a similar date, suggesting a much older origin perhaps in Africa. Cave art in Europe continued to the Mesolithic about 12,000 years ago. As this corresponds to the final phase of the last glacial period, Upper Paleolithic art is also known as Ice Age art. As a notable aspect of what some call the Upper Paleolithic Revolution, and evidence for behavioral modernity, the appearance of art in part helps us define the Upper Paleolithic itself. Art helps define what makes us human, it is part of what we are or can be. Paleolithic art includes rock and cave painting, jewelry, drawing, carving, engraving and sculpture in clay, bone, antler, stone and ivory, such as the Venus figurines, and musical instruments such as flutes. Decoration was also made on functional tools, such as spear throwers, perforated batons and lamps. Common subject matters include the animals that were hunted and predators and other animals that were not. The human form was often expressed, especially female shapes. Men are also depicted, such as the pinhole man. Europe and the Levant. The vast majority of Ice Age art will not have survived, apart from work in wood, leather and other very perishable materials. The antler and bone, which are very commonly used, would normally decay if not buried in dry caves and shelters. There is evidence for some craft specialization, and the transport over considerable distances of materials such as stone and, above all, marine shells, much used for jewelry and probably decorating clothes. Shells from Mediterranean species have been found at Gonnersdorf, over 1,000 kilometers from the Mediterranean coast. The higher sea levels today mean that the level and nature of coastal settlements in the Upper Paleolithic are unable to be explored and remain largely mysterious. Engravings on flat pieces of stones are found in considerable numbers at sites with the appropriate geology, with the marks sometimes so shallow and faint that the technique involved is closer to drawing. Many of these were not spotted by the earliest excavators, and found by later teams in spoil heaps. Painted plaques are less common. It is possible that they were used in rituals, or alternatively heated on a fire and wrapped as personal warmers. Either type of use may account for the many broken examples, often with the fragments dispersed over some distance. Many sites have large quantities of flat stones apparently used as flooring, with only a minority decorated. Ice Age art can be naturalistic and figurative. It can also be geometric and non-representational. Some of the oldest works of art were found in the Schwäbische Alb, Baden-Württemberg, Germany. The Venus figurine, known as the Venus of Hohlefels, dates to some 40,000 years ago. Other fine examples of art from the Upper Paleolithic includes cave painting, incised, engraved cave art such as at Cresswell Crags, portable art, and open-air art in Portugal, Domingo Garcia and Sigó Verde in Spain, and Falzo in France. There are numerous carved or engraved pieces of bone and ivory, such as the swimming reindeer found in France from the Magdalenian period. These include spear throwers, including one shaped like a mammoth, and many of the type of objects called a baton de commandement. One of the most famous pieces of portable art from Britain is the Robin Hood cave horse from Derbyshire. Other examples include the Kendrick's cave decorated horse jaw. Many of the finest examples were featured in the Ice Age art. Arrival of the Modern Mind exhibition at the British Museum in the 7th of February to 26th of May 2013. East Asia. Cave paintings from the Indonesian island of Sulawesi were in 2014 found to be 40,000 years old, a similar date to the oldest European cave art, which suggests a much older origin for this type of art, perhaps in Africa. A cave at Turobong in South Korea containing human remains has been found to contain carved deer bones and depictions of deer that may be as much as 40,000 years old. Petroglyphs of deer or reindeer found at Sokchangri may also date to the Upper Paleolithic. Potsherds in a style reminiscent of early Japanese work have been found at Kozenri on Jeju Island, which, due to lower sea levels at the time, would have been accessible from Japan. Africa. The oldest African petroglyphs are dated to approximately the Mesolithic and late Upper Paleolithic boundary, about 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. Zimbabwe's oldest art finds date to at least 10,000 years. The earliest undisputed African rock art dates back about 10,000 years, apparently originating in the Nile River Valley and spread as far west as Mali. From the Apollo 11 cave complex in Namibia, 7 stone plaquettes painted with figures of animals have been recovered from a horizon dated to between 22,500 and 27,500 years ago. The Blombos cave in South Africa yielded hatched patterns incised on pieces of ochre dated to as early as 70,000 years ago, which has been classified as art in some publications. Australia. The Bradshaws are a unique form of rock art found in Western Australia. They are predominantly human figures drawn in fine detail with accurate anatomical proportioning. They have been dated at over 17,000 years old. Gabarmunk, or Nuala Gabarmunk, is an Aboriginal archaeological and rock art site in southwestern Arnhem Land, in the top end of Australia's Northern Territory. The rock shelter features prehistoric paintings of fish, including the barramundi, wallabies, crocodiles, people, and spiritual figures. Most of the paintings are located on the shelter's ceiling, but many are found on the walls and pillars of the site. A slab of painted rock which fell to the floor had ash adhering, which was radiocarbon dated at 27,631 plus or minus 717 years Cal BP, which indicates that the ceiling must have been painted before 28,000 years ago. Radiocarbon dating of charcoal excavated from the base of the lowest stratigraphic layer of the floor returned a mean age of 45,189 plus or minus 1089 years Cal. BP, suggesting the oldest date for the earliest human habitation. Faceted and used striated hematite crayons have been recovered from nearby locations in strata dated from 45,000 to 60,000 years old, which suggests that the Gabarmunk shelter may have been decorated from its inception. Americas. Peru, including an area of the Central Andes stretching from Ecuador to northern Chile, shows evidence of human habitation dating to roughly 10,000 BCE. Early art from the area includes rock paintings in the Toquapala caves that date to 9500 BCE. Burial sites in Peru, such as the one at Telemache, as old as 8600–7200 BCE, contained evidence of ritual burial, with deposits of red ochre and bead necklaces marking the site.